What's good, y'all? What's good, Real Talk Squad? This is Miles, and you are listening to Real Talk with Miles Johnson, where you know we always keep it real. Let's get straight into it, man. Like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and enjoy some real talk. Let's get into it, man. Eagles versus Buccaneers, and at the end of this episode, we're going to give our predictions for Week 4 of this NFL season. Let's start off with the Eagles and the Buccaneers. The Eagles just came off their best defensive performance, I would say, since the Dolphins game last year. It's crazy that, this has been their best performance in almost a year, but that's where we're at, and I gotta just say I'm very, very proud of this Eagles team. I was wrong. I apologize. I think Vic Fangio is a phenomenal defensive coach. He is the best coach in the building outside of Jeff Stoutland, who the best offensive line coach in the league, hands down by far. He put on a master class last Sunday. But you got to credit the defense. You have to credit the offensive line. You have to credit Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley showing up when the team needed it most. So we're going to talk about this offense, this defense, this coaching staff. Let's talk about this offense. What's happening right now? Well, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are both not going to play. You have A.J. Brown, his hamstring issue. You have Devontae Smith, suffering that concussion. Let me talk about A.J. Brown real quick, and then I'm going to go to Devontae Smith. With A.J. Brown's injury is a clear example that injuries can happen whenever. So all of y'all saying, don't use Saquon Barkley too much. You don't want to have an injury. He said himself this, bro. He said, you can have games where you have 10 touches and be more sore than games you had 30 touches. This is Saquon freaking Barkley saying this. It's all about hits. It's all about the shots you take. It's all about the type of game it is. I've been fortunate enough that through these first 3 games, my body still feels very good. A.J. Brown suffered his injury during practice. So this logic that, you have to protect your star player, don't give him crazy amount of touches. It's no, if you're acting scary with a superstar player, then you're not going to be that productive. You gotta just roll the. You pay the guy to play the guy. You pay the guy to play the guy. The Saquon Barkley era is begun. It has begun, and ultimately the Eagles are going to rely heavily on him. And I'm not hearing that whole injury bug. To Devontae Smith, it's crazy that Christian Boyd only got fined $4,600 for a Bush League dirty hit when Devontae Smith was going back. He was clearly tackled. It's on the refs for not blowing the whistle early. But ultimately, Christian Boyd, he knew that Smitty was going down, and that was a Bush League dirty hit. And it's wild to me that Christian Boyd gets fined $4,600, but then Derek Carr gets fined significantly more for saying, being Michael Jackson. Derek Carr getting fined more than Christian Boyd, who's giving guys concussions? That's wild to me. The NFL ain't serious about protecting the players, bro. They ain't serious, bro. They are not serious. So that kind of pissed me off. But again, back to this offense. Obviously, the Eagles are without their top 2 wide receivers. They still have Dallas Goedert, who I expect to be a heavy part in the passing game. Once again, I don't expect him to get a $170 and 10 plus targets, but I do expect him to have at least 80 receiving yards. I expect him to continue to be that security blanket for Jalen Hurts. Let's talk about the Eagles wide receivers, because although Dallas Goedert is a threat, he's not a wide receiver. He's a tight end. We have Jahan Dotson, who we traded for. We have Johnny Wilson, who we drafted. And we have Paris Campbell, who I believe we acquired in free agency. He was on the practice squad. Initially, he didn't want to be on the practice squad. And then he talked with his family. He prayed. He realized being on the practice squad would be the best thing for his career. And now he's in a position where it's like preparation meets opportunity, just like I said with Fred Johnson and how he stepped in for Lane Johnson. So Paris Campbell is in a position that if he snaps out, there could be a team that could want to get him. Like, you feel me? Like, so here's the thing. I was high on the Eagles trading for Jahan Dotson. I stand by that. I believe that he hasn't been utilized to his best abilities in this offense, where Jalen Hurts, obviously he trusts A.J. Brown more. Obviously he trusts Devontae Smith more. Obviously he trusts Dallas Goedert more, Saquon Barkley. And in the pecking order, Jahan Dotson is 4th or 5th. I mean, he trusts Britton Covey more than Jahan Dotson. Well, now Jalen Hurts is put in a position where he has to trust guys who haven't gotten that much productivity on this team. I think this is a great challenge. I think not having A.J. Brown, not having Devontae Smith is a great challenge for Jalen Hurts, and this will make him grow as a quarterback. Oftentimes, we see him stare down A.J. Brown. He's staring down Devontae Smith, and sometimes these guys are so talented, you can give them a 50-50 ball, and they're going to snag that John. But there are some times that Hurts thinks AJ or Devontae can just snag a ball whenever, wherever, against whoever, and that causes some turnovers. Now we're in a situation where Jalen Hurts has to trust guys who he knows, like, all right, they're not as talented as Smitty or AJ, but in order to win this game, I've got to trust these guys. And that's going to make him a better quarterback. We're seeing with Josh Allen, he's trusting Shakir. He's trusting Coleman, Kincaid, like Curtis Samuel. Like, he has all these guys. He doesn't have a true number one wide receiver, and we're seeing him flourish because it's not like he's force-feeding the ball to one guy. I want the same thing for Jalen Hurts, to be able to move the ball around. And yes, I am high on Jahan Dotson still, but I'll say this. I believe that Johnny Wilson has the biggest day out of all of the wide receivers on the Eagles team. I believe he'll have a better day than Jahan Dotson, a better day than Paris Campbell. I believe Johnny Wilson will have a breakout game. Why is that? Because Jalen Hurts trusts him. And the reason why he trusts him is because they had a full offseason, a full training camp to be together, to be acclimated together, and to ultimately trust each other. You got to think, in the offseason, Johnny Wilson was in Orlando with Jalen Hurts, and they were getting reps together, multiple times. And so I think Hurts is going to lean on Johnny Wilson, and I need Johnny Wilson to not get these boneheaded penalties. I need him to show out. I need him to break some tackles. I need him to create separation. And look, we're obviously going to lean on Saquon Barkley and Dallas Goedert, but out of the wide receivers, I'm highest on Johnny Wilson to have a big day. With Jahan Dotson, I have to give him credit. He's part of the reason why Dallas Goedert had that 61-yard reception, because his crossing route freed up space for Dallas Goedert to get that ball. It was two Saints players that collided to each other, and now you have Dallas Goedert get a 61-yard reception, and then all we needed was Saquon Barkley to punch us home. I expect Jahan Dotson to have his best game as an Eagle. I expect Johnny Wilson to have his best game as an Eagle. Again, like I said, this is actually a blessing in disguise for Jalen Hurts to grow and be a better quarterback. I got to give Brock Purdy credit. Brock Purdy has been without Deebo Samuel. Brandon Ayuk has underperformed. He's been without Christian McCaffrey, and he's been wheeling and dealing. I believe Jalen Hurts is more talented than Brock Purdy, and if I believe in Jalen Hurts the way that I say I do, this is a game that Jalen Hurts should put the team on his back and say, yo, I got paid $250 million $250 million, y'all. I got paid this bread for situations like this when I have to be the reason we win when everything might not be going our way. I have full confidence that Jalen Hurts will do that. All he has to do is just not turn over the ball, and I have full confidence this Eagles offense will be much better than they were against the Saints. Let's talk about Hassan Reddick. I heard a report that Hassan Reddick would be open to coming back to Philly. You got to think, right? Hassan Reddick grew up in Camden. That's damn near South Philly, bro. You got to think, he went to Temple. That's the heart of Philadelphia. He went to the Eagles from the Cardinals, and he felt like he was at home. All his family is in Camden. They come into his games. You know, he got probably a lot of college friends at Temple. The love is there. Hassan Reddick coming back to the Eagles is a win-win for both sides, y'all. It really is. For Hassan Reddick, it's like if you're able to make this Eagles defense a top 10 defense in this league, other teams will look at you and be like, we want you to be on our squad. We'll give you the bag to help bolster up our defense. On the Eagles side, it's a win because they're in win-now mode. Win-now mode. We have a situation in the NFC where the 49ers are injured, the Rams are injured, the Lions don't look like world beaters, the Giants come on, the Cowboys come on, the Buccaneers are not no real contender, the Saints are overrated, the Falcons are not nothing, bro. So ultimately, this is a time, and we can talk about I'm not trusting the Vikings, I'm not trusting the Packers. We done beat them. So ultimately, this is win now mode for the Eagles. If you felt like there was a more clear opportunity to win a Super Bowl, now is the clear opportunity to win a Super Bowl, or at the very least, get to the Super Bowl. Now, if we face Mahomes, all right, I don't know, but we can at the very least get to a Super Bowl given the current state of the NFC. Let's be honest. It's not sustainable to have Brandon Graham, although he did say that he's open to coming back after this season. It's not sustainable to have Brandon Graham at 36 years old be your most effective pass rusher. We need Hassan Reddick to come back and be that lead edge rusher. And honestly, I'll say this. I think Bryce Huff flourishes with Hassan Reddick back in Philly because he's not asked to be that go-to guy. He can kind of fly under the radar like he did with the Jets, play on third downs. Obviously, I know Eagles fans, you don't want to hear that because we done paid the guy $51 million to be the go-to guy. But again, look, front offices make mistakes, and the best front offices make up their mistakes. What did the 49ers do? They drafted Trey Lance. They traded up to get him. They realized that was a bad move, and they got Brock Purdy. Well, they ended up already drafting Brock Purdy, but they ended up starting Brock Purdy over Trey Lance because they realized, hey, we made a mistake. They traded away Trey Lance to the Cowboys, and now they got their franchise quarterback. So how I see it, Howie Roseman has to take it on the chin, be like, yo, I made a mistake in trading away Hassan Reddick, but if he says he's open to coming back, you gotta call Joe Douglas and the Jets and be like, yo, let's just do a refund. You feel me? I'll give you back that third round pick. You could give us back our guy who has had 27 sacks over the past 2 seasons, and we'll just forget about that off-season trade. And I think Joe Douglas is like, shoot, yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. It's perfect for both sides, and I hope that, like, this happens this weekend or, like, early next week, but I think this is a great move for this Eagles team, bro. You got Hassan Reddick, Bryce Huff, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. You're talking about a defensive line that is very, very, very formidable, bro. Very formidable, and I love it. I love it. Let's try to get Hassan Reddick back in Philly. And I'll say this about the defense. If the Eagles defense can play like they did against the Saints And maybe not even just like that. If the Eagles defense can be middle of the pack and especially like top 12, top 10 in the league, you're talking about the Eagles as a legit Super Bowl contender. Because I believe this offense with A.J. Brown coming back, with Devontae Smith coming back, with Lane Johnson coming back, they will be up to their true form. And obviously Saquon Barkley gives that, extra explosiveness that we just did not have. I believe Jalen Hurts will cut down on his turnovers. Now, if you have a defense that is playing lights out, now you're talking about a team that from top to bottom on offense and defense, they got a top 5 offense, really top 3 with A.J. Brown coming back and Devontae Smith coming back, and like a top 12 defense. That's all they need. All they need is a middle of the pack or top 12, top 10 defense, and the Eagles are going to be Super Bowl contenders. You bring in Hassan Reddick, that just makes your case that you could really be a top 10 defense week in and week out. All right, man. Last thing I want to talk about Jalen Carter. I want Jalen Carter to really snap again. I heard that he said that his game against the Saints was trash. I mean, shoot. If that's trash, what's your good game, bro? Because I think that was your best game as a pro. So if that's your trash game, I want you to show us what a great game is. Show us. Because against the Buccaneers last year in the regular season, you snapped. That was your coming out party. You flat out showed up against your family because you're from Florida. You're not too far from Tampa. I want Jalen Carter to snap out. Nakobe Dean has said, and I'm very, very proud of Nakobe Dean because he is showing to be a true leader on this Eagles defense. He's a leader amongst all those Georgia Bulldogs, and he's showing why it was the correct move to start him. He's having a great season alongside Zach Bond, and we have to give him credit. All bro needed was to be healthy, and we're seeing what he's doing. Like, I got full belief in him, and that's why you don't give up on guys early, bro. I fully believe in Nakobe Dean. That's just a little side note. I had to just put that in there. That's my guy, man. Shout out to him. But with Jalen Carter, I want him to have back-to-back consistent games. He was a man on a mission. We need that again. Jordan Davis, we need you to be consistent. You were amazing against the Saints. We need that same explosiveness, that same play, that same motor against the Buccaneers. The Eagles are facing a Buccaneers offense that ranks 25th in the league in offense. 25th out of 32 teams. You're talking about a Buccaneers passing offense that ranks 23 in the league at 186 yards per game, and their rushing offense is putrid at getting only 91 yards a game. So like I said against the Saints, if you can stop the run, which will clearly be easier against the Buccaneers versus the Saints, you get the right to rush the passer. And I have full belief that the Eagles' defensive line can not only stop the run, but in back-to-back weeks, pressure the passer. I want to see Josh Sweat go ahead and wreak some havoc. I want to see a guy in Bryce Huff finally have a coming out party. Come on, cuz we're waiting for you to show us something. Let's go ahead and do this, man. And I like how the secondary is looking. Quinyon Mitchell is snapping. Darius Slay had a bounce-back game. Reed Blankenship has been one of the best safeties in the National Football League. I like this defense's chances against this Buccaneers offense, especially with some offensive linemen that they have who are down. That offensive line is going to be shaky. I believe in the Eagles defense. So, prediction, I have the Eagles winning 23-17. I don't think that they'll make it easy. I think that Nick Sirianni will make some questionable calls. Hopefully we can overcome that. All I ask from Nick Sirianni is to just gauge what the game is telling you. You must have situational awareness. You must be able to gauge how well the offense is playing and how well the defense is playing. Hear me out, y'all. Look, if the defense is playing amazing and the offense is having a hard time to generate yards, if you're in field goal range, take the points and trust the defense. But if the offense is playing amazing and the defense is struggling to keep themselves off the field, guess what? Go for it. But you have to gauge what's going on. You have to have situational awareness. You have to be able to judge each game for what it is. It's not just we're going for it every time. Doesn't matter the situation. That's our mantra. That's what I do. It's also like you have to gauge what the game is telling you. That's your job as a CEO head coach, is to have a great feel of the game and make your calls not based off analytics every time, but based off of what the game that you're watching that day is telling you and how your team is playing. Please, dog, please don't give up points on the board if you see the offense struggling, dog, especially without A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I mean, come on, dog, take the points. Take the freaking points. And I believe in Vic Fangio. I ain't worried about him. Kellen Moore continue to put Hurts in situations to beat the blitz. I believe in y'all. Come on, man. Show me something. Show me something. All right. Last John, bro. Let's get into NFL Week 4 predictions. Now, obviously, I didn't get to it, but I did have the Cowboys beating the Giants. But let's talk about these games. Bengals versus Panthers. I got the Bengals. There's no way the Bengals lose. The Panthers will put up some points, but the Bengals have too much pride. I got the Bengals winning in a shootout. Vikings versus Packers. I got the Packers winning this one. I think the Packers are a great team in terms of getting takeaways. I believe that the Packers get their first pick against Sam Darnold. I believe the Packers go ahead and pick off Sam Darnold for the first time this season, and I have full confidence that Matt LaFleur will have this offense ready at home. Give me the Packers in a nip and tuck ball game. Steelers versus Colts. I got the Steelers. They're giving up 8.6 points a game. Anthony Richardson is turnover prone. I believe the Steelers defense goes ahead and, gets a touchdown, whether it's a fumble or an interception. I got the Steelers going ahead and getting that one out. Eagles versus Buccaneers. I have the Eagles. The Buccaneers are not good defending the run. I believe Saquon Barkley goes off. Give me the Eagles to get their second straight win and go to 3-1. Patriots versus 49ers. I got the 49ers. I wouldn't mess with that spread, but I do have the 49ers being able to exploit the Patriots secondary. Browns versus Raiders. Give me the Raiders. The Browns have so many injuries with their offensive line. Max Crosby is due to have himself a game. And Deshaun Watson is a terrible quarterback. He's cooked. He's washed. I don't believe in him at all. He has a terrible QBR. He's literally been the worst quarterback in the league outside of Bryce Young as a starting quarterback. Give me the Raiders to beat the Browns. Titans versus Dolphins. Look, I'm not very confident in this, but you have a Dolphins team who is without their quarterback. Is it going to be Skylar Thompson? Is it going to be Tyler Huntley? Who's going to be the guy as their quarterback? I think Mike McDaniel is very overrated. Give me the Titans. I believe in their defense. I also don't believe in Miami's pass rush. Give me the Titans to go ahead and win that one. Saints versus Falcons. This is going to be a toss-up. This is a toss-up. A lot of these games are toss-ups right now, bro. It's not like clear favorites, but give me the Falcons to beat the Saints. I believe the loss of Eric McCoy is very, very huge, and we have seen how mid Derek Carr is when he gets pressure. I believe Matthew Judon goes off, and I believe Bijan Robinson, after an underwhelming performance against the Chiefs, he goes ahead and has his breakout game of this season. Give me the Falcons to pull it off. Rams versus Bears. Give me the Rams. At the end of the day, I trust better coaching and better quarterback play every single time. If a team has better coaching and better quarterback play, I'm picking that team every single time. The Rams have a clear advantage in coaching. They have a clear advantage in quarterback play. They showed a lot of heart against the 49ers. Give me the Rams, and I'm surprised they are an underdog in this game. Broncos versus Jets. Give me the Jets. This Jets defense, I believe, will have a day against Bo Nix. Yes, they did well against the Buccaneers defense. I don't think the Buccaneers defense is that good. I think Aaron Rodgers will have another day. Each game, he's had more time to throw. I like the Jets to win and cover. Commanders versus Cardinals. This is going to be a freaking game. It's going to be a shootout. And it's going to be a game that you have Jaden Daniels coming back to Arizona. You know, he went to Arizona State. You have Cliff Kingsbury, who he was the Cardinals head coach for 3 years. And he knows Kyler Murray's ways. So he might be able to tell something to Dan Quinn in that defense of how to guard Kyler Murray. I like Jaden Daniels and company to get the upset win. I'm a huge believer in Jaden Daniels, unfortunately, because he might terrorize my Eagles for the years to come. But I like the Commanders to win in a high-scoring affair. But look, Marvin Harrison is going to go off. That's guaranteed. He's going off, bro. Get his yards, get a touchdown. Marvin Harris is going to pop off, but I like the Commanders to get that upset and for Cliff Kingsbury to get his revenge. Chiefs versus Chargers. I like the Chiefs to win. Now, look, if the Chargers had Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater playing, I would pick the Chargers. But the Chargers just have too many injuries. You have not only your offensive linemen, your two top offensive linemen likely being out. Joey Bosa is injured. Derwin James is under suspension. So, like, if this was another game where it was like, all right, the Chargers have a fully healthy team, not to mention Justin Herbert re-aggravated his ankle injury, I believe that the Chiefs go ahead and get this done. I wouldn't touch the spread, but I definitely believe the Chiefs go ahead and win that game. Bills versus Ravens. I have the Bills getting the win. This is going to be a game where Josh Allen shows us, hey, look, I'm the front runner for MVP, and I'm going to put a strong hold on this MVP race. I believe if Josh Allen goes ahead and beats Lamar Jackson, has 3 touchdowns, is amazing, is passing all over the field, because that's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to go for a bunch of yards. I believe he has at least 275 passing yards. I don't believe in this Ravens secondary. I don't believe in their ability to stop a guy like Josh Allen. He's very confident right now. His wide receivers are very confident. They have all the confidence in the world. Joe Brady has been coaching his ass off. Ultimately, I believe the Bills get it done, and Josh Allen shows why he is the MVP front runner. Let's talk about the Seahawks and Lions. The Seahawks defense has looked elite, but it's looked elite against terrible teams. They played the Broncos, I believe. They played the Patriots, I believe. They played the Dolphins without Tua. The Seahawks are not as good as advertised, I believe. The Lions will beat them at home, and I believe in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery to control time of possession. They just had 187 rushing yards last week. I like the Lions to beat the Seahawks. It's going to be a close game because the Lions never make it easy, but I like the Lions and Jahmyr Gibbs to have themselves a day. Let me know what you think about my picks. Like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and share with a friend. And I appreciate y'all for always keeping it real and for tuning in to Real Talk with MJ. I love y'all. Peace. We out.